Wilson Miles from Black from TV. Hello, folks. How's it going?
Hi.
Good, man. Wilson, how are you?
Good. So when you got the role, what came first? Reading the book first or, reading the script? West?
So, I,
So when I got the role, it was kind of this long process of auditioning. So I wanted it so bad, but I would do it and then I wouldn't hear anything. So I was like, oh, I don't know. And then to come back and do another session. And so I didn't read the book, I think, because I'm such a pessimist. I was like, I'm not going to get it. But then I had only read the pilot when I got cast. And so it was such a shock reading the book and not knowing too much about my character. And it was so unexpected. Like I was so surprised in a great way. Allison was so much more complicated than I thought reading just her introduction in the pilot. But it was definitely funny. I was like, oh my God, that's what's going to happen. So,
What, what about you, Jayden?
yeah, similarly with me, I mean, while auditioning and doing my self tapes, I would read as much as I could. I mean, I remember I was in the bath one time and it would get to a bit that was really like surprising, and I'd have to like dry my hand off and turn the page and like not drop it and all these things because it's such a page turner. So yeah, read the book, the script, pilot script was sent to me, but then the rest of the scripts weren't developed yet. So every time the script would drop, I'd be on that laptop or I'd have that physical copy, be turning it.
So once you got the roles and you started shooting, at what point did you feel connected to the character you're playing? Was it right away? Was there any similarities, in terms of the traits, or, was it by episode 2 or 3? West?
I think I always find little things that when I get to set, I can kind of lean on. And I know Jayden and I bonded over both having playlists for our characters. So on the way to work, whenever listening to that, helped putting my earrings in. Allison had the same earrings for the whole show. And I think, they're very different from earrings that I wear. And so getting there and putting those on, it was helpful for me. And I felt connected quite quickly. Yeah.
Jayden?
Same with me. I felt connected very quickly. Edwin is going through grappling with gentrification for his island, and I am from London, and we're going through quite a gentrification epidemic right now, you could say. So instantly I tapped into that, and I also figured out his music taste on one late night walk in London, and I found the album that's like him. I was like, another piece of him that I got, and then developing the accent and letting the accent inform physicality was the final step from there. Edwin was quite easy to access, despite him being fairly different.
Now, West, you obviously have had parents who've been in this business for a long time. One could say, oh, she was born for this. But when you have a role like this and you're a lot on the pages, did it ever get daunting knowing like, okay, I got to remember all of this as opposed to coming in as part of an ensemble, even though the series is an ensemble, but you have a lot more to do here?
As it relates to my parents.
No, I'm just saying being ready to, to tackle on being more on a scene than being part of a show or a movie where you just come in and do bit parts of here and there.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was honored to be able to play Allison. And I think, of course there's pressure. But I think the pressure was kind of the fun part for me. Was the thing with Allison was that you get those 8 days with her, and it's it's 8 days when she's totally out of her normal environment. So the challenge was like, how do I showcase who she really is? How do I do justice for her? Because after those 8 days, she's just an amalgamation of rumors and opinions and projections. And, so I think that was kind of, for me, it was more the pressure of really wanting to do her justice, because that's all you get from her.
Congrats on the roles for both of you. Obviously, people will be intense in watching it episode by episode. So keep it going. We'll talk down the road.
Thank you so much.
Wilson Morales from Black Women TV. Hello, folks. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. For Josh, did they ever get confusing reading the scripts, knowing what timeline you're in?
It was, every showing up every day and kind of being present on like what was on the call sheet that day was kind of how I navigated, staying away from the confusion. And so, no, there wasn't too much or is it too much confusion there?
Now, how different, or is it going to be the same from those who've read the novel, to obviously, we know things they have to take liberties and so forth for screen, but for those who've read the novel, are they going to get something on the screen, or are they going to see something different? Alycia?
I think they're going to see something different. It was actually interesting when I first got the job. It was clear that there were some differences, and there are a couple of things that had been changed and adapted, and especially for my character Emily. So I think what was interesting for me is I then really chose to focus just on the scripts, and it's like Josh said, sort of what was happening on the page, to really make sure that narrative is tight and clear and focused. But then, having read the book, it was cool to see how that differed, and then I hope for fans, when they have read the book, that they get something out of it, having then watching the show.
Now, Josh, were you encouraged to read the book, or is it the work first and then the book came afterwards?
Well, I read the book right after I got the role. I kind of really wanted to sponge everything up. I really wanted to observe all that I could, and kind of throw myself into the world, to sort of, because he's a very different person than I am. So I really just wanted to kind of dive into the deep end by doing research.
And then when you're working on the series like this, and each of you have done your share of work elsewhere, what are you getting from the direction and writers that helps you out as actors, when you do a series per episode that you can probably take on to your next project? Alycia?
I mean, I think that's what's so wonderful about this job, is that you're always learning and you're always growing. There's always more to learn and grow from. And at its very nature, it is such a collaborative environment. So you're always pulling from different people's experience and different people's their expertise. You're learning as much from your fellow actors as you are from like the hair and makeup teams, as you are from the camera operators. And the directors. It's a collaborative effort. So I always find like I'm consistently learning and growing. And I think you also, when you really do find people you really enjoy working with too, especially in the case for me, it was with Josh, you really hold on to those things, and you can develop a different kind of like intimacy as actors and friendship. It's, there's so much to each different project.
What about you, Josh?
Yeah, I kind of couldn't have said it better myself. Working with Alycia is just a dream come true. She's such an intelligent, thoughtful, talented, kind actor. So we really had a safe space to sort of play and figure things out. And I just hope on the next project that I'm just as lucky to have, an opposite that's just such a wonderful scene partner.
Oh.
We're at a time period right now where there's a lot of product out there. At least, whether you go to the theater, streaming, network, cable, we all have options these days. What do you think is going to get an audience to watch Saint X? Alycia?
Budget.
Because the title tells you nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a really complex and multi-layered story. It's not just a simple murder mystery thriller. I think this deals with a lot of other nuanced themes that occur in the real world. It really does try and explore, what an event like this does to a community, and how it's represented in the media, and the kind of the trope of the fetishization of white girl gone missing, but also, race and inequality and injustice, and the even deeper roots of colonialism. It's a multifaceted narrative. So I hope that engages people. And I also just, the book did really well. So here's the show.
Here's the fan base. Congrats on the roles. Congrats on the series. I'm sure we'll talk down the road. Let's see where it plays out. Talk to you guys later.
Wilson.
Thank you. Bye.
Hi, Wilson.
Hey, folks. Wilson Morales here from Black Women TV. this is an interesting series because you never know what episode, which time frame you're watching.
Right.
So when you got the script, what was your initial thinking before you said yes to taking on the roles that you have? Michael?
Thank you. You can leave your glasses on. I'll put my glasses on if it makes you feel comfortable, Wilson. When I read the book, I have to be honest with you, the first 4 chapters of this incredible book, it really laid out who Mia and Bill were as parents. And I stopped there after we got to basically the catalyst for these 2 people was the fact that their daughter went missing. Yeah. When I read the script with all these timeline flip-flops, I was thinking, oh, what an interesting way to tell this story. Immediately drawn to it and really wanted to be a part of it.
That's it.
The book wrecked me. It wrecked me. Like, I read it, I cried when I read it. I identified with Mia so much. And I wanted to tell her story, but I admired her strength. Both of these characters, and she fascinated me in a lot of ways. And I just I knew I wanted to do that job after I read the book. I was in, and I wanted to work with D Reese. So
yeah, no kidding.
I was in.
Oh, D Reese, she's heavenly.
Yeah.
Speaking about D, when you think about, each of you have done your share of work, whether it be a film or a TV series, but when you're working with D or any other directors of the other episodes and so forth, what are you getting from them that helps you out as actors, skill set wise? Because actors can never stop learning. So is there anything you picked up here that, as you did the series, that you can probably take on to your next projects?
Well, Betsy, do you mind?
No.
If I jump? One thing that Dee did, and Betsy's going to nod her head, and I know that West is going to probably say when you interview West, is that she called us in to do a family workshop. And this family workshop probably lasted 45 minutes. We had just met West. Betsy and I were hanging out at the hotel probably for 5 days before I never met Betsy before. And this little girl, Kenley, who's playing Claire, Dee put us together in a room and started a family workshop. And it was so incredible. And just asking simple questions. And this, at the end of the 45 minutes, I remember Betsy and I being in absolute tears. And the questions that she posed, they were very simple, but so incredibly informative to us as characters. And I will carry that on. The more directing I do, I'll carry that little trick on. It's not a trick, that little thing with me everywhere I go. She got us really, like, we were comfortable, and we were also pretty immediately comfortable with Dee, which I think is very impressive because she's so impressive. And I think that's an amazing gift. And then, she asked us this question, and I just, it caught me off guard and I just saw us as a family and saw everything that they were losing. And then, some of the best advice was, she was like, listen, we're on location. It's never easy. When it gets noisy and that stuff comes up, go back to this. And we absolutely did. And we were able to zone in to make sure we got what we wanted to get. I want the viewer to feel the heartbreak and I want that loss to feel real. And that it's so hard to put it back together, and it's so important to put it back together because their family is that important to them. And I like to think we delivered that. She really was the reason why the show has the feel that it has. Incredibly knowledgeable, and it would not have been the same had it been any other place than in the Caribbean, shot in the Caribbean. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure she was one of the people that made sure that feel, that look was attained.
Congrats on the rose. Always a mystery show is always interesting because it draws people in to see where it goes episode by episode. So obviously we'll wait to see what the audience says, but I was already hooked. So congrats again.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. So nice to talk to you.
Cheers.
Take care.